Hey, Bushy.
Hey, Sufi.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I feel like I'm just going to run this intro.
Yeah. No, I mean, you had a
I
family
had a
trip.
family trip.
So,
I had an actual family trip, and it involved members of our family. I took Ash to Boston. Alexi was taking Axel to California. Addie was spending the weekend with her aunt and niece. And it was a big trip. It was Ash's first trip to Fenway Park. Mom and Dad met us, and it was just exceptional. We took the train. Ash and I took the train up. We stopped. We picked up his best friend, Huck, and then we got to the city. We checked into a hotel room. I got a room with a sofa bed, pull-out couch, and the plan was the boys would sleep together in this sort of kick-ass queen bed.
Right.
Like good sheets, good blanket. And then I was in a real janky fold-out couch.
That was the plan?
That was the plan. Because they really wanted to sleep in the same bed. And I was like, all right, I'll let you sleep in the same bed.
And you wouldn't put the two, 10-year-old kids in the janky fold-out?
I don't know. It felt
that's
a
where
little...
they're supposed to sleep.
Who was the Dickens character? I don't know. It felt like Fagin. It felt like, making Oliver Twist ask for more gruel. The good news is they self-policed, and the first night they were in bed together, the friend came out and was like, "Can I sleep in here? I don't think we can fall asleep in the same room."
Because they were too chatty Cathy?
Chatty and kicky and just like... Okay. And so I ended up with Ash in the bed. So it worked out.
In the proper adult.
Bed. Yeah.
Yeah, bed.
We went to an aquarium. We went to the New England Aquarium.
Mm-hmm.
I love an aquarium.
Yeah.
I love that they exist.
Are you?
With that said, I don't know what I'm doing there. At some point, how long am I? You know what I mean? You see the coolest fish you've ever seen, and how long can you actually look at it?
Well, it depends who you are, but I think that aquariums are designed, all museums are designed sort of with a path.
Yeah, there was a beautiful path of this one. You sort of wind up. It's really cool.
So you do that.
I do that. I just always feel like when I think of we're going to go to the aquarium, that feels like we're going to make a day of it.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Reality
is it's a 45-minute trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a crazy aquarium, you could probably do a couple hours,
unless there's a show of some kind. I don't think you can stretch it past 45 minutes. We did. They were we watched them feed some seals.
Yeah.
First time a seal catches a fish, it's the best thing you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Then you sort of understand they're pretty good at it. Not as much risk as you thought there was.
Classic Seth Meyers. It's like
it is
when you
classic.
saw a
And
giraffe,
by the way,
you were amazing, and then every giraffe after that, nothing.
Yeah,
you like to see things for the first time and then never again.
Never again. Yeah. Well, I want to trick myself into thinking I saw something special. I'm like, and then a dude reached into a bucket, took out a fish, threw it. Oh, seal caught it. Yeah. I can't believe I was there on that day. And then you realize. Then we went to the North End, famous Italian-American neighborhood in Boston. Went to a restaurant. Mom and Dad met us there. It was great. I will say we had Huck with us for 24 hours, and I would say the restaurant was hour 3, and that was the first time I was hour 24 can't come fast enough. It got better.
Did you order everything off the menu?
No, they were just I kept it I don't like
kids that aren't yours.
Having to talk to them when they're misbehaving. You know what I mean? It's an awkward thing. So I kept having to say at this restaurant, Huck, sit down. Because he kept just standing to just mess with Ash. And I'm like, Huck, honey, sit down. We're at a restaurant. Then they came up with this plan where they kept saying they needed fresh air. And then I would just look out the window and they were sort of running up and down the street. And whatever, I don't care. They can run up the street all I want. Get their steps in.
Yeah.
Very nice. Oh, also, so you'll enjoy this. They also kept, the amount they were, knocking over, like waters and silverware, just everything. And it was so, and this is before Mom and Dad came. And it was just like clank, clank, clonk, clank. Oops. I'm like, sit down. Once you sit down, stop stomping. And then Mom and Dad sat down and Dad ordered a beer. And what do you think he did immediately?
Oh, they either spilled it on his chest or knocked the whole thing
Knocked it over, but on the floor, like 10x worse than anything the boys had done.
Mom was probably cool about it.
Mom sighed so loud that the windows to the restaurant blew open. They thought it was they kept saying it's a nor'easter, and I had to say it's not actually. It's just it's a withering sigh. It's a withering sigh from her mom. But Dad, again, Dad's never met a stranger. He doesn't want to try to turn into his best friend. There was like a couple on what looked like a first date across the table from him because he spilled so much. Like it was a observable amount of beer on the floor. And the dad was immediately like, I'm going to tell him you did that.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like, what? That was like when they got up to leave, he's like, you got to I'll go apologize for the mess you made. They're like, huh?
Oh, yeah.
So that was super fun. And then we went to the Children's Museum. I think, by the way, something positive's coming. Because I know.
Good. Yeah.
Children's Museum, the reality is I think 10 years old is too old for a children's museum.
Okay.
But I didn't know, and then you show up and you're like, oh, my son's the oldest kid here. It's a lot of like
you got to go to the
bubbles.
teenagers museum.
Or just a science museum. I think at 10, you go to a science museum, we're good to go. That was fine. Then we went to the Boston Tea Party Museum. And it was a triple plus. I cannot tell you how great the Boston Tea Party Museum was. Oh,
I talked to Mom and Dad about it, and Dad was glowing about it.
Great. By the way, I missed something. This is how busy my day. I fully missed the first thing we did on Saturday morning. We did the duck boat tour of Boston.
Oh, classic.
Classic duck boat. You get on a duck boat. It's a car that then can go into the water.
Amphibious vehicle.
I told Mom she had 10 questions. She could only ask 10 questions about the duck boat. And then every time she asked one, I would go, quack, quack, to let her know she was down. The amount Mom asked what happened to the wheels in the duck boat, I'm like, I don't know. Just don't worry about it. We had a real old school Boston tour narrator on our duck boat. He was wearing a Bobby Orr jersey, but the Orr on the back was spelled O-A-R. He had a lot of duck boat puns. The best thing about him though was he figured out somebody on the boat had gone to Harvard, and then he just called that guy Harvard the rest of the trip. And every time there was a fact, before he said it, he would ask that guy if he knew what it was. And when the guy didn't, he'd be like, too bad, Harvard. You get a little bit more education for your money. It was great. If you went to Harvard at Boston, your nickname is Harvard. That's a thing. Duck boat was great. Also, Ash felt like he wasn't paying any attention, but I realized he gets a real colonial education at school because he was just looking out the window, slack-jawed, and then every now and then he's like, do you remember, does anybody here know who brought the cannons? Who brought the cannons for the Battle of Bunker Hill? And as Ash was like, Henry Knox. I'm like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Kind of shocking. He got every kid to come up and drive the duck boat, and then they would drive it for 30 seconds and be like, all right, scram. I like that. I like that vibe.
Yeah, me too.
Duck boat was great. But anyway, back to the Tea Party Museum. And again, if you're going, but I cannot recommend Boston enough as a destination for a family trip. Tea Party Museum, so good. First, you go into a meeting house, and it's one of those museums where you got young actors just bringing their A game to reenactment stuff. They hand out little cards so that certain people in the meeting house have to stand up and say something about how mad they are about this tea tax. Then you go out and there's two boats that are parked there. You go, the kids get to pretend to throw tea overboard. Nobody breaks character. Then you go in to a little Tea Party Museum. There's a video, a 15-minute reenactment video about, what is it, the Battle of Lexington, Concord? One of those. It was shot heard around the world. Obviously not remembered around the world, but the shot fired up, fully teared up. Not the last time I would tear up, Pushy.
Oh, wow.
Fully teared up. watching this incredible video about our nation's founding. Just exceptional. Then we went to Faneuil Hall for lunch.
Yep.
You've been to Faneuil Hall.
Yeah.
Often,
Classic.
often with mom and dad, right?
Yeah, we used to go and do like some Christmas shopping, or just like it was a good place to go and
it was
grab
great.
a bite.
It's an incredibly famous food court in Boston. I wanted to check your memory that you had been with mom, because I remember being with mom, but mom seemed to have no memory as to how Faneuil Hall worked. Because we walked in and she's like, were we going to have seats? I'm like, seats? What are you talking about? And she's like, I go, what do you want? She goes, I want a lobster roll, but not if we can't sit down. And I'm like, huh? Daddy found us seats for what it's worth.
Great.
I felt like a busboy because nobody wanted anything from the same place. I thought that we like it. Regina Pizzeria, it's the best pizza.
Yeah.
I'm like, everyone want pizza, right? Ash is like, I want sushi. His friend wanted chicken fingers at a place that had the longest line of anywhere in Faneuil Hall.
Well, I mean, you were probably pro chicken fingers.
I got my pizza. I stood. I had my plan. Mom got a lobster roll. Dad got something weird. Dad, to his credit, went up and got it himself.
Yeah. Well,
also, we sit down and mom's like, I'll get a beer. I'm like, what do you think this is? We're in
I would think you could
court.
get a beer at Faneuil Hall, but I don't
think you can have a beer in the main area. I think there's probably a bar there.
Yeah.
I don't think you get a liquor license for a hall.
Yeah, but the times have changed, Sufi.
Not enough. And then, also, sorry, again, you're listening to a Family Trip podcast. We went to the chintziest mini golf place I've ever been. It was like on 2 floors inside, but that burned like 30 minutes. We went to the Museum of Illusions. That was also right by Faneuil Hall. That's like a thing where like kids stand next to it, like halfway on a mirror, and then if they raise one arm and leg, it looks like they're jumping in the air, like illusions.
Yeah.
Again,
you
just realize
on the title, right?
I just in general was like, I feel like museums oversell how much time you're going to be able to burn at them.
Yeah. You went to a lot of museums.
I went to a lot of museums. I mean, these are some of these are. Again, Tea Party Museum, I think, is 80 minutes, and it's chock full and fantastic.
And you're walking from one of these places to the next?
We did a lot of walking. We did do a lot of walking. And then Huck's family picked him up, and then we went to our first Red Sox game. And Red Sox got Tarek Skubald, one of the best pitchers, obviously, in baseball. And so the Red Sox lost 4-1. But it was really, really special. I mean, I think like a lot of kids go to their first baseball game, Ash was maybe more interested in what he was going to eat. But we did stay. We did stay for the whole game, which was really fun. It was just tremendous. The whole thing was tremendous.
That's great.
And then we went to the Science Museum the next morning. So Sunday morning, that was the day we were leaving, and we got a little bit of a slow start because Ash slept in. And I will be honest, I'm going to take back everything I've said about museums. We could have spent 5 hours at the Boston Science Museum.
I remember that as being very engaging, very sort of hands-on.
Very engaging. Ash was a little bit like, what? Like the thing that had not happened yet happened right at the end where he's like, we got to leave the museum. We went to the IMAX. We watched a IMAX, like a 50-minute IMAX movie about the James Webb telescope, about the building of it.
Yeah, sorry, Hubble.
That made me cry because it's like it was like just interviews with the people who made this thing and like them talking about the first time they saw the images that were sent back. Fantastic. Really great. So got a little ripped off at the end. I was paying like $2.50 a pop for Ash to get these little those penny things where you do a crank and the penny gets flattened out and they print like a little thing. Yeah.
You paid $2.50
per. And I think Ash wanted 3. Ash wanted 3 under the guise of he was going to give one to each of his siblings. And then I've noticed it's been a couple days and has not been handed over yet.
Yeah. Wow. There's still time.
Yeah. And then, and again, Amtrak as well, both ways. Hell of a way to travel.
Yeah.
We had, there was someone on our Amtrak. Ash and I were sitting next to each other. We had one of those, table with like a 4-section seating arrangement. And the guy across from us was, he was an interesting cat. Very, very nice, very kind. But a little, I want to be careful with my language. He was very hard to sort of follow. And it was sort of like talking a blue streak. And I was doing my best to sort of comprehend him and try to have a conversation. But scattered, I would say, is maybe a good way to describe it. And Ash, at one point, was watching something on iPad, took off his headphones and leaned over because he was talking. This guy was now talking to somebody else. And Ash goes, "What's he saying?" And I go, "I'm having a hard time kind of following what he's saying." And Ash said, "Okay, well, try harder." And then just put his headphones back on. It was really great. And I was like, you know what? That's good advice. And then I was glad. I was glad that we talked to this. He was a not the sort of individual you run into all the time, and he made for a very interesting ride.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds great, Sufi.
It was really good. I think Mom and Dad were really happy.
Yeah.
Good hangs with them.
No, I mean, I talked to them the next day. They were exhausted. Or I talked to them later on Sunday, and they were just like wiped out. I wanted to FaceTime with them earlier in the day to hear how it was, and they were like, "We got to lay down and take naps. We'll call you later."
I ran them ragged. I mean, really ran them ragged.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you did a lot, checked a lot of boxes, and they definitely, Mom and Dad had a great time.
I'm glad to hear it.
So
there you go. That's a family trip, and now we got a great episode for you. Andy Serkis.
Yeah, legend.
We had to cut him off a little fast. Andy had another interview after this, and it was our fault. We did not get to the speed round.
Yeah. He answers the last question.
He answers the most important one, but he answers.
Has he been to the Grand Canyon?
He answers it badly.
But we're not going to tell you. So, did you just tell him what he said?
No, I just said he answers it badly.
Oh.
Nobody knows what that means coming from me.
He's got his film Animal Farm.
Yeah,
is out May 1st in theaters, and he's been with Caesar and Planet of the Apes, King Kong, most notably Gollum,
and Smeagol.
Yeah, so
I'm more of a Smeagol guy. You like Gollum. You think Gollum has some interesting ideas.
Yeah.
You've always been very pro Gollum.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, enjoy, listen, have fun.
Family trips with the Meyers brothers. Family trips with the Meyers brothers. Here we go.
Hello, Andy.
Oh, hey, hello, how are you?
I'm wonderful. It's so nice to see you again.
Yeah, you too. Gosh, I'm trying to think when we last met each other.
It was a while ago, and it's very nice. Sometimes you read someone's biography and you realize, for the purposes of this podcast, I'm certainly hopeful that we're going to hear stories unlike any we've ever heard before.
Oh, totally.
So
yeah.
In my head, I'm like, Andy.
It's exciting. There's something about the British Empire that I feel like lends itself to places, to parts unknown for many of us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's part of it's part of our makeup. We're good at that kind of stuff.
Because you're not just classically, obviously you're British, but your background is incredibly a great deal more diverse than just that.
It is. In fact, so my dad was Iraqi and he was of Armenian descent. So they came through kind of two generations before he did to Iraq, settled in Baghdad and from Armenia. And then my mom, who was recovering from tuberculosis in the sort of around the time of the war, went over to recover. Her father was working in Kuwait on the oil refineries, and she met my dad, who was an aspiring doctor, and they got married and had three daughters, and then myself and my younger brother. And so we used to spend all our childhood sort of going backwards and forwards between Baghdad in Iraq and then the suburb of Ruislip, which is a little rather boring suburban place. No, actually, it's not boring at all. It's home. It was in just outside of West London.
That's unbelievable. So my first question is: Did she meet him while recovering from tuberculosis in a hospital? Was he there as a medical professional?
I believe that's the case.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, this is going back into sort of
Sure.
the annals of history, but I guess so. Yeah, I think that must have been how they did. Yeah, yeah.
I don't imagine you're at your best when you're recovering from tuberculosis. She
No.
must have really been something else.
I think she certainly turned his eye. I think he was going to be a Jesuit priest before that. So I think she must have done something.
Now, when you were a kid, and it's obviously due to the incredibly unfortunate events of like the Middle East in the last 25, 30, 40 years, you don't think about like vacation to Baghdad. But was that something you looked forward to as a kid? Because obviously it's an incredible culture.
Oh, I used to go there for 6 weeks or 8 weeks of the summer. And it was an amazing place. I mean, it was a magical place. And we used to go and visit, we traveled all over the Middle East. We went to Syria, we went to Babylon, we went to, to Beirut and Lebanon. And it was a remarkable kind of polar opposite of where I was growing up. And so it really did hold a sense of magic. And we'd camp in the desert and we'd eat grilled fish by the River Tigris and all that kind of stuff. It was amazing. It was amazing. And so, but consequently, I've never really felt, I've always felt like a slight sort of outsider or betweener,
Sure.
Because
I have to imagine of the kids in Ruslip, am I saying that right?
Ruslip.
That you were the only ones who were summering in Baghdad.
I would imagine so.
Yeah. Were the circus kids? Were you all collectively excited about the annual trip back to Iraq?
Oh yeah. We used to, but that was our norm actually. So it wasn't, and it was kind of not exceptional in the sense that was what we did every summer. And it was. Like that was just we flew out, we stayed there and had all these, I mean, looking back, sort of quite magical experiences, but also my grandparents, my mum's mum was also part Iraqi and French Armenian. So she was an amazing cook. So we used to go over, she lived in Wembley in London, just in the west of London. And so we're sort of, the culture was sort of present with us as well.
Did you have a family home in Baghdad that you would go to, or would you?
Oh yeah, my dad's house. I mean, so he was he was a doctor and he founded a hospital in Baghdad for at that time. There was a huge, there still is a huge disparity between the wealthy and the poor there. And these 4 doctors set out to build a hospital that would really give good service to everyone. And that was why he stayed. He didn't, he'd built this thing, and so he couldn't really. He used to come home at Christmas for a couple of weeks, and then my mum would go out and visit him at Easter. But
what was the travel time back then to Iraq? Like
it was about, I guess it was about 6 or 7 hours on the plane.
It's actually not that bad. Yeah.
On BOAC at the time it was called.
BOAC. What is that? What was that?
The British Overseas Air Corporation, I think it was.
I mean, it obviously made sense that at some point the marketing people were like, we got to change that.
Yeah, we'll change it to BA.
What was the age gap between you and your siblings?
So my eldest sister, Carol, it was like 8 years older than me, and then 5 years older, and then Anita, my sister, and then Kath, the youngest sister, was 4 years older than me. Then there was me, and then my younger brother was 4 years younger than me.
So really, I mean, pretty spread out group.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Did you, when you think back to those trips, were the 5 of you spending a lot of time together, or was the age gap such that you all sort of split off to do your own thing?
Yeah, I used to hang out with my youngest sister the most, who was 4 years older than me, because we had similar interests. But, as an older brother, I was, when we were growing up, he was like my younger brother, so I didn't hang out with him. And then my elder sisters were getting into boyfriends and doing their own thing.
I always have this vision. Anytime I hear about a city like Baghdad or just a city that I've never been to, I feel like if there's going to be a movie scene, there's going to be kids running through the streets of the city, sort of no parents around. Was it like that? Did you sort of have free reign?
Very much so. It was, it was so exciting and so culturally different. And, you'd go to the markets, the souks, and just sort of find your way running through there and finding interesting and wonderful things, all these exotic smells and spices and all the things that you find in a market, but seem so different. And it was a great time. It was a great. I mean, I loved it. I used to really look forward to it.
Was it something where you would buy things to bring home? Like, were there souvenirs and the like that you'd bring back to England to sort of show off?
Yeah, my mum used to collect all that stuff. She loved kind of Middle Eastern pottery and artifacts and paintings, and so the house was kind of full of that stuff. But I used to just go for cheap toys. Really, I'd find,
right.
I'd seek out basically cheap toys. That was what I used to do at the souk.
And so you mentioned going to like Syria and Babylon. Were those trips that your father would come along? Was it?
Yeah. He'd take time out and whilst he was still work, he still had to work at the hospital, but we'd have these side trips and we'd go off for, a week or so or to visit these other countries. And it was an extraordinary. Looking back, it is kind of it was an extraordinary education, and I feel very lucky to have had it.
So you didn't see him much during the year. What was it like when you would? What was it like for you when you would see him? For those 6 weeks, and what do you think it was like for him to all of a sudden have his 5 British children descend on Baghdad?
Yeah, no, I think. He was very much a man of routine. Obviously, with the hospital he had, but traditionally in Iraq you have a siesta, so he used to sleep in the afternoons for an hour after lunch. That's what everybody does, and so I think he used to feel a little invaded when we all pitched up, and equally when he came home to the UK, it was sort of odd and strange to have a man about the house who his position was very unclear. It was like he was definitely a man who had authority in his workplace and in his home in Iraq, but he sort of had to fit in with a predominantly female-oriented family when he got back, and they would all have boyfriends and were doing their own thing, and suddenly he just would try and come in and be this. Put his foot down and be a bit authoritarian, and it never really worked out,
Yeah, no, I wouldn't imagine so.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break and hear from some of our sponsors. Support comes from Yahoo Mail, now with Planner. Hey, Bashi.
Hey, Sufi.
Oh, man, I need to get my life organized. You host a podcast, or in my case, 2 podcasts, or in your case, 2 podcasts, and it's easy to get them all mixed up.
Yeah. Well, Planner brings your tasks, reminders, and events into one simple view so you don't have to jump between apps or piece your day together.
All your tasks and events are in one place. You can get a clear, organized view of what matters most. You can quickly understand your day without digging through emails.
Planner pulls key details from your emails like reservations, school events, and bill reminders and turns them into actionable plans, saving you time and effort.
By surfacing important tasks and events at the right time, Planner helps you stay organized, reduce mental load, and keep life moving without things slipping through the cracks. Don't miss important tasks or events in your inbox.
Stress less with Planner from Yahoo Mail.
Support comes from Fitbod. Hey, Bashi.
Hey, Sufi.
I really wanted to get back into exercising this year, and Fitbod has helped level up my workout routine. You don't need a personal trainer to get the results you want. All you need is a personalized workout from Fitbod. I just like that I can enter in my own fitness goals, unique to me, and I've already noticed that my endurance has improved, my strength has improved. I can lift up all 3 of my children at once, throw them in the garbage. I'm just kidding.
You could also tell Fitbod what kind of equipment you have, and so they will tailor workouts to what it is you've got on hand. If you're traveling and you're like, I don't have my gear, I don't have my weights, I don't have my bands, they can get something for you to keep you moving forward.
And one of the things I like about, obviously, when I've had a trainer is they can show you how to do it. And if you're worried about, I'm never going to be able to figure it out based on descriptions, they have over 1,000 demonstration videos for different workouts. So you don't have to worry about that at all. Level up your workout. Join Fitbod today to get your personalized workout plan. Get 25% off your subscription or try the app free for 7 days at fitbod.me/trip. That's FITBOD.me/trip. Talk about this camping trip by the Euphrates. Does that mean that your parents were
The
sort of-
tigress, Seth. She said
Tigress.
the
Sorry,
tigress.
my God. Obviously, I haven't been. Were your parents sort of rugged people? Were they good at that sort of thing?
My mum, I think, was quite intrepid, and my sisters certainly were as well. And they went on in their lives to go off and do lots of adventures all over the place. But my dad was, I think he liked calm and peace and order, and being in a hospital environment. I mean, he liked a bit of a party. He was a good holding cocktail parties and things like that. But he wasn't, I wouldn't say, an outdoorsy guy, not at all. In fact,
Yeah, I'm in that situation. I'm him, and my wife is your. Intrepid is a very good word for it, by the way. I need to start using intrepid more for outdoorsy.
So if you're camping by a river, are you at a campground? And what's a day like? Are you cooking out for your food, or
we went to. I remember one trip which was to Lake Habania, which is just north of Baghdad, and it was just in the desert, and you're camping under the stars, and it was for a 7-year-old. It was kind of like extraordinary to have. I'd never seen the stars like it, So it seemed very magical. It seemed very magical, and we would cook. We'd cook food, and but we were just on camp beds under the stars. There were no tents or anything, And I remember one time there was a desert rat climbed into my bag, which I didn't realise. A little desert rat climbed into my bag, and when I got back to my dad's house, I opened this bag, and it just kind of jumped out, scared the hell out of me. But so it was adventurous. Yeah, it was adventurous.
Well, what is the travel? Pardon my ignorance, but how do you get from Iraq to Syria when you go to visit there? Would you drive?
What am I thinking? Yeah. I think it was probably. Yeah, we drove. Yeah, we did. It was a long sort of driving trip. Yeah, a road trip.
And what sort of car would you pack in? Seven Serkises.
He had an old Pontiac, which was quite. I just remember the sensation of sitting on the seats, plastic seats, and burning the back of my legs every time we got into the car, because it was so hot in Iraq, and as a child wearing shorts, it was not a good thing, getting into that car. I just remember vividly every time. It's just like, wow, how can it get that hot in a car? But it was quite. I remember it had fins on the back. It was quite a style. Looking back, it was a proper. It was a Pontiac, so it was quite exotic, really. Not suburban Ruislip just outside of London.
Yeah, I bet probably not downtown Baghdad either, right? Like a Pontiac.
No, probably, yeah, a bit. Because there was a bit of American influence as well with vehicles and stuff. But my dad was a bit of a narcoleptic, so he would fall asleep at the wheel constantly, which was not good. And we all inherited that. We all inherited.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, if I fall asleep, by the way, do not be offended. But
no, we won't. It'll be
but
thrilling.
I have been known on many occasions, and people, they rip it out of me, because I have literally been in studio meetings in LA and sort of started to go. So just, and I've sat opposite my brother, and having dinner with him, and he'll just kind of start nodding off. So it is a Serkis trait for sure.
I mean, that is so. Yeah. The idea of just driving from Baghdad to Syria in an old Pontiac with hot seats and not knowing if the guy at the wheel is going to doze off.
Occasionally, you'd all wake up.
I also like that you said he liked Gollum, and I'm like, well, no, that's going a little too far.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I guess it could be worse. You could be the person he's currently operating on.
Yeah,
that is true. That would
Dr. Serkis, please.
But you know what? I'll tell you, I had a narcoleptic experience at the Museum of Modern Art in New York here, and I went to see a photographic exhibition with Lorraine, my wife, and we were standing there, and I was jet lagged, admittedly, but I remember standing, looking at this picture, thinking, God, that's an amazing picture. It was Ouija, the photographer Ouija.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah. So I was looking at these pictures, and then suddenly I felt this wave of tiredness, and then I just fell over the security line, set off the alarms, and headbutted one of the pictures. You know, it was.
That's the one thing they don't like. When you feel like how they build those lines, they never think somebody might just doze off.
Yeah, I know exactly. Exactly.
Did your father? Were there ever any accidents? Any notable accidents while you were driving on these trips? With your father falling asleep?
No, just the occasional kind of like, driving. They're desert roads, so luckily if you go off the road, you're not going to hit anything, particularly.
There's an interesting thing where I've got 3 kids, and sometimes just on a long drive, I wouldn't say it's a narcolepsy, but just getting tired. And it is that weird balance of like, I know my wife will be so mad if I say, hey, I need to pull over and have you drive. But it's funny that what you're weighing that against is, you know what? Or I just drive into oncoming traffic and our whole family does. Like I'm more afraid of her than actually like going into the traffic. Obviously, you have 3 kids, they're at the age where they're born late 90s, early 2000s. I imagine you've never had any chance to bring them back to the Middle East or have you?
No, and I really want to. And in fact, in recent years, I've been trying to write a project, a film based on the hospital that my dad built, because, and I really want to go back there. And I think it was getting to a point where it was getting safe. Yeah. And clearly not right now, but it was getting to a point where it was getting safer. Because the hospital covered an interesting period. He built it in 1964, which was the year I was born, with these other founding doctors, and then very quickly, of course, there was the Ba'athist Party under Saddam Hussein was beginning to ascend, and there was not a good feeling towards the West at that time. And so my dad was a doctor for the British Council and for BOAC, operatives, and everyone started to leave. And he gave a speech at a party in his house. He had a cocktail party, invited lots of people over, and then his speech was recorded, and he said some rather unflattering things about Saddam Hussein, and he was arrested and disappeared. And so we were obviously incredibly worried, and we didn't hear from him for a couple of months. So it was a very difficult time. And this was going on. People were beginning to be disappeared, and the other doctors faced threats as well. And then it got taken over by the party and was only the Ba'athist Party took the hospital over, so it was only able to be used by Saddam Hussein's family and high-ranking officials. And then so there's that period. So there was a sort of pre-Ba'athist Party period. Then the sort of Saddam Hussein, and then when the American intervention in Iraq happened. The US intervention in Iraq happened. It was taken over, and it was part of the Green Zone. So it's gone through this huge journey as a place. So I'm putting together a project which is sort of based on the transitions, really seen through the eyes of people who were around in that hospital throughout that period. So I do want to go back. I'm desperate to go back. I really, really want to go back.
Yeah. Is it still there? The hospital?
Yeah. Yeah, it still exists.
Yeah. I think it's amazing how a physical space can show how the passage of history. Like, just, right. You think like, a hospital's going to be a hospital for all this time, but yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's really something. It's also like, there's many bummers to this story, but it's such a bummer that your dad started a hospital, and it might not be a cool thing to tell people there. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, we don't like people who start hospitals.
Do you still have family there?
Not
any extended family.
There's like some distant family there now. Most people got out. Started to get out. Well, there was a big diaspora, and some of them went to Canada, some of them to New Zealand, and some of them to France and the UK. So most of them got out during the troubles.
Wow, that's crazy.
What do you remember about Babylon?
Just the Lion of Babylon, the sculpture, this huge sculpture of that's my main memory, and just lots of architectural, artifacts and ancient buildings, and amazing place. Yeah. No hanging gardens though. I was quite disappointed. I was looking forward to see.
Yeah.
You left a very angry Yelp review about the lack of hanging gardens.
If they're not there, stop talking about them.
Yeah.
And would you ever, if you weren't going so far afield as going to Baghdad or to Syria, would you travel in the UK ever for smaller
in
trips?
the UK? Oh, yeah. I mean, we used to, as a family, like when my dad was away, my mum used to take us to caravan sites kind of on the south coast of Bognor and what was it called? I can't remember the name of the place now. Bognor Regis was where we used to go. And then sort of up to the Lake District and travel around. We did lots of traveling around the UK, yeah.
So caravan holidays, which I hear a lot about from British people, is that basically those are campsites?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what we used to do. We didn't have our own caravan by any stretch. You know, we used to go to a caravan site and you know, it had a social centre and do you know what I mean? It was sort of like, they were really good. I mean, really happy memories.
So do you look back, are you like just in awe of the fact that you're, it basically seems like, you know, for most of the year, you had a single mom who was managing 5 kids.
Yeah, I'm full of admiration for what she did. And she was also a teacher. She taught at what was then called a disabled school, you know, but people who were physically impaired or physically challenged. And so she had a lot on. We did have au pairs who came to stay, you know, from time to time. But my elder sisters really kind of ran the house.
Right. Were they benevolent leaders?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
I just worry about 2 younger boys. It could break either way. Were you ultimately, do you feel like you were, there's that thing of like when you have, you know, you have a working mother who obviously is doing an incredible job raising the 5 of you. It seems like maybe you all understood to behave.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I suppose we were all kind of rebellious in our own ways, put it that way. We all, you know, we all got up to stuff that we shouldn't have done, perhaps. But,
Right.
But, you know.
When you got to these caravan holidays, was it sort of policy of your mother that it was just like, go leave me for a bit? Or would you stick close and stick together?
No, we'd pretty much stick together. We sort of holiday, you know. We kind of hung out, and you could rent these kind of they were called social cycles at the time, but you know, like 4-wheeled bikes that you could all sit on.
Oh, fun!
Do you know what I mean? It's like 2 bicycles tied together, basically.
And so, on a social cycle, is everyone responsible for some amount of pedaling? Or some people just getting a free ride?
The two front people.
Got it.
And then the others at the back, just kind of social cycles. I've not remembered that word for a long time.
Yeah, that's a new one for me. Would you go to the same sort of places year on year?
We tended to.
Would you make holiday friends that you might encounter?
I don't remember that
again and again.
I don't remember that so much. I don't remember. No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't remember. No, I don't think so. No.
Were there people in Iraq, kids your age, that you would go back every summer and reconnect with?
Well, we had lots of cousins at the time, you know.
Gotcha.
So because my dad's sisters lived out there, so we had a lot of cousins that we used to go and play with and hang out with. And
were you sort of like this interesting foreign visitor when you showed up? Were the cousins like enamored with your Britishness?
I don't think so. I think they just thought of us as, you know,
right.
It was just family. You know, it's just family. We did used to go. There was a club called the Alweer Club, which was a sort of a lot of expats used to hang out, and that had an amazing outdoor cinema. So we used to it wasn't an amazing it was a wall painted white, with a few deck chairs in front of it. But that was great. And I remember watching films, you know, and hanging out there, and that was cool.
I think it's a lost delight, the outdoor cinema.
Oh, totally.
Especially that thing of like, there's no. Also, the absence of choice feels like such a freedom. Like we're just going to go see what the movie is. Yeah. You know, when I think about how much time I spend paralyzed by the options, like I love the idea of just walking to an outdoor cinema.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was always so enamored with the idea of drive-in movies, which we never had in the UK, but of course it was huge here. I'd bring back the drive-in movie as well. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we? I mean, wouldn't that be cool?
I live in Los Angeles, and there's this film series at a cemetery, and it's just one of my favorite things. It's about 3,000 to 5,000 people on a lawn in front of a mausoleum, which is a big white wall, and they just project a eclectic mix of stuff on the side of it throughout the summer, and it's fabulous. It's just so nice to be around all those people and be outside, and it's great.
Yeah. It's just something I love. Cinema outdoors is the best. If you've got nice weather, obviously. There's just nothing like it. It's beautiful. I love it.
We went to my wife and I were on like a Greek island. I want to say like Mykonos, and we were just like walking after dinner, and there was just like in this little like sort of this copse of trees, there was this little outdoor cinema, and I'm like, oh my God, we have to go and see a movie, and it was just so romantic. And then I think it was like the second Sherlock Holmes movie with Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law.
Oh yeah.
And I just we got like we got like beers and we sat down, and like half an hour in, my wife was like, I'm sorry, are we staying for the whole movie? I was like, all right, that's fair. I go, in my head, I'm a 13-year-old kid and I can't believe my luck, but you're right. This is not matched with everything our evening has been up to this point.
My funniest experience of watching cinema abroad was I was filming in Russia, actually, just after the wall had come down in the early 90s, and I went to a cinema that was showing The Bodyguard.
Oh, wow.
But it was all simultaneously translated by one person behind the screen with a mic into Russian. So they had the volume kind of half turned down. So Kevin Costner, and so it was. I mean, bad rubbish Russian impersonation, but it was just like good old school. There was just a whole,
I really hope he didn't try to hit that note, and I will always love you.
Exactly. It was quite brilliant, and I watched the whole film just mesmerized.
Oh, that is fantastic. What did you film in Russia that early?
It was a TV series called Grushko, which starred Brian Cox as It was based on a Philip Kerr novel, and Brian Cox was playing this cop, and it was all about irradiated meat, and because obviously the wall had not come down long before, and so it was going through. I've never been in a country sort of that was going through such change, and actively sort of seeing it happen in front of you. It was crazy. It was a crazy place and a crazy time.
That's the worst case scenario. The wall finally comes down, and the first show they make is about irradiated meat.
Yeah.
They don't even hire local actors. I am always delighted. By the way, I love Philip Kerr. I'm very excited to try to find Grishko. I mean, the fact that it's got you and Brian Cox and it's a Philip Kerr adaptation shot in Russia. I mean, sign me up.
Oh wow. Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Didn't I buy you a Philip Kerr like three?
Yeah,
book series
you
last year?
did. Yeah. The Berlin trilogy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right up my alley. I love that stuff.
Oh, amazing. Oh, cool.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break and hear from some of our sponsors.
Support comes from Aura Frames. Hey, Bashi.
Hey, Sufi.
Aura Frame. Pretty great Mother's Day gift. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I mean, really, really good. If you take pictures on your phone, you get a good one, a good shot of your kids or a good shot of you and mom. You could send it to her, but what's she going to do with it?
Yeah.
The much better move is to send it to her Aura Frame, and then that picture will pop up from time to time and remind her of a great time that you guys had together.
We just took a trip together. We were just talking about it. I went to Boston, and Dad was like, send me all the pictures. And I was sort of like, I'll do you one better. I'll just send them straight to the Aura Frame. And you can see them pop up as they come.
Yeah, you texted me a picture of you and Mom at Fenway Park, and right away I posted it to their Aura and my Aura, so it'll just be there. It's such a good way to see the best pictures in your camera roll that you're never going to see otherwise.
And we do a fun thing with our mom, which is we upload pictures, individual pictures of ourselves, and then individual pictures of our dad, so that she will cheer and boo based on based on which one comes up.
Great thing about these Aura frames, Sufi, is they have free, unlimited storage, so you can add as many photos and videos as you want. You can also pre-upload photos before it ships. And you can keep adding from anywhere at any time.
It's a really cool product. Make Mother's Day special with Aura Frames. Named #1 by Wirecutter. You can save on the gifts moms love by visiting auraframes.com. For a limited time, listeners can get $25 off their best-selling Carver mat frame with code TRIPS. That's AURAFrames.com, promo code TRIPS. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply.
Here we go.
Your kids, did you raise your kids in England?
Yeah.
Great. And what was has your professional life led to unique travel opportunities for them, or are the two been separate?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, they've just lived and breathed growing up. Lorraine, my wife, is an actress, and she's she's a very quite prolific British TV actress, and all our kids have ended up being actors because they were literally born into it. Lorraine was filming a TV series, rushed home, gave birth, went back onto the TV show, and I was, she was expressing milk, and I was feeding Ruby, our daughter, and then she'd come off set, and it was just like that's how it started, and it's never been any different. They've just been an integral part. When I went to New Zealand, they all came down when they were very, very young to do Lord of the Rings, and then. And then at various stages, they've been back when we were shooting King Kong, and they went to school in New Zealand. Then when we went back to do The Hobbit, they actually started doing school in the UK, so they couldn't. So that was the worst period, actually, because I was away for a long period of time because I was directing the second unit on that. And it was like I was away for a year, basically, so I didn't get to see them. But that's the biggest thing, the biggest downer of, in terms of having great opportunities and things happen to you, and then being away from your family. That's a tricky one.
Right.
I find that. And because my dad had been away, all his, I thought this is history repeating itself a little.
Yeah. And you didn't even open a hospital,
No, exactly. Exactly.
Hey, I noticed that in your bio. So had you directed anything before the second unit of The Hobbit? Because obviously you, and I want to talk about it, you just directed Animal Farm. So obviously, was that the beginning of your transition into doing behind the camera stuff?
I'd always wanted to, whilst I'd been acting for many years and started in theatre, and as soon as I started acting on screen, I studied visual arts before I became an actor, so I'd always been interested in telling stories visually and made short films and was always doing that, or was doing things like that, and I knew that acting. I loved acting, but I also knew that I wanted to direct, and so it sort of transitioned. Actually, when we were making Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson became aware that I was very interested in directing, and so when it came around to The Hobbit, and it was going to be like a huge cast of actors that would go between the main unit and the second unit, they asked me if I would direct the second unit, and so we shot for 200 days on the second unit. And I was getting ready to make my first sort of independent feature film with like 3 actors in 4 locations, and suddenly I found myself in front of a crew of 200 people shooting native stereo at 48 frames a second with going across New Zealand, and I mean it was a phenomenal education.
It is so funny because like second unit, that part sounds right for a first job. And then The Hobbit is like massively wrong.
Yeah, exactly. It was just like I had to learn very quickly, just the responsibility was so enormous. But I know Pete just trusted me, and we'd been through a whole journey, of course, with the kind of creation of the character of Gollum and the whole visual effects side of things and the tying together of performance and technology. And I guess and then I'd work with him on King Kong, and these are my people, really.
Right.
The family in New Zealand, they're such an incredible team and a phenomenal sort of, the same people that I'm working on, with now. We're going back to do the film now, The Hunt for Gollum. It's a lot of the same people, 25 years on, regrouping, and I keep going back there because it's just such a great creative atmosphere where everyone treats each other with respect and is valued, and it's the sort of the perfect working scenario. It's like a big family, and we've all got kids that have grown up now, and everyone knows each other. It's pretty cool. It just happens to be on the other side of the world from where I live.
Right.
That's the only problem.
Yeah. And the Hunt for Gollum, I didn't know it was happening, but you're directing that and obviously starring in it. That'll be the next in the series.
That will be, yes, indeed. And that's we're in pre-production right now, and so I've been down there for months and months.
Well, it's funny. We just we were talking with Vincent D'Onofrio, who's a wonderful actor, and he was talking about how he's been in the Marvel universe playing this character Kingpin for 10 years, and he was talking about how rare it is for an actor to play a character for 10 years. And I mean, when you think about your relationship with Gollum, I mean, it is truly something. And I mean, by the way, it would have been truly something if it had stopped, after the first trilogy, so all these moments, it would have been the most complete body of work. And so it really is something, and it's so exciting that there's going to be more of it. It
is. I mean, and there's a lot to investigate with the character still. So it's a really interesting exploration.
Yeah. What about so you did? I mean, I will say, Animal Farm does not naturally adapt itself to an animated film or a film at all, really. And the undertaking of this, I was talking, I had Gaten Matarazzo on the show, and he was, talking on my show about how there was an interesting approach. You had to sort of add different characters. How long has this process been going on for you? Like from the...
Just about 15 years, I suppose.
So that's fine. That's a big use of time.
So it's a quick one I knocked out,
Great. And it's under 2 hours, right? So I can watch it in under 2 hours, but it took you 15 years.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I mean, that's the thing. Look, that was the first film, actually. When we formed our company, Jonathan Cavendish is my producing partner. We set up the Imaginarium, which was a performance capture studio in the UK, and a production company. And the first film that we thought, and it was actually when we were doing the Planet of the Apes movies, and there's a scene in the first Planet of the Apes movie. I was playing Caesar, the central kind of ape character, and he's in a facility. He's incarcerated in this facility, which is obviously experimenting on apes, and he leads the apes to freedom. And there's a sort of rebellion. And I'd always loved Animal Farm as a book as a kid growing up, and I suddenly thought there hasn't been an adaptation of Animal Farm for a long time. There was a 1954 animation. Mm-hmm. And then there was a 1990 kind of animatronic Jim Henson style Hallmark film version of it. But I just thought performance capture is the perfect way of doing it. And then so Jonathan Cavendish and I, who was a big film producer, he'd done the Bridget Jones films, and we'd become sort of linked for life, as it were, and we still are with our company. And we thought we'd get this off the ground. We got the rights. We went to the Orwell estate. They gave us the rights. And we said if Orwell were writing this now, who would we wanted to update it. We always wanted to update it, make it more contemporary, not talk about totalitarian Russia in the 1940s, but transpose exactly the same themes about power, the corruption of power, and, fake news and or the disseminate misinformation and the utopia gone wrong. But it was like, how do we make this applicable to a young audience? And this was back in 2011 where I first had the idea, and it's taken ages because we thought it would be like, Animal Farm. Everyone would want to see Animal Farm, and every studio would want to make Animal Farm. Wrong. Nobody wanted to make Animal Farm. It took forever. Everyone thought it was a very spinachy kind of, sort of beating at the audience over the head politically. Orwell's too dark, etc. And
I do love that you thought kids love animated films and they love George Orwell.
Well, I just remember being so knocked out by the book. Did you read the book?
I did read the book. I was knocked out by the book too. And, by the way, it is, look, Lord of the Rings is a challenging book that kids love and then made a great movie. So I would understand the impulse.
Yeah. So we started work on it and went and approached a whole bunch of actors, most of whom have ended up in the film sort of 12 years later when we were actually making it. I mean, like Seth Rogen and Jim Parsons and Glenn Close were all people we approached immediately who all loved the book, and everyone who's in it. And it is an exceptional cast. We've got Woody Harrelson and Kieran Culkin and Steve Buscemi and Iman Vellani, and it just goes on. Every single Laverne Cox. It's just a fantastic cast. Everyone we approached was just like, I'm in, definitely. I love the book. So, but we had to find a way of telling the story, which I wanted to make it for a young audience. I really crucially wanted to have a debate between young kids, their parents and their grandparents all watching the film together in the same room. And no studio could understand that concept, that this could possibly be a family film. And my argument was, yes, it's dark. There are dark things in it. But if you present it in such a way as an animated version where you use that animation, the bucolic kind of the feel, the innocence of the animals, because it is, the whole point of Orwell writing about totalitarianism using farm animals is that he wanted to communicate ideas to a younger, inquiring mind. So that fits in with our version. But the book doesn't have any protagonist or a central character where you can follow the story through, and emotionally engage with, because it's quite an objective book. And so that was why there's mention in the book of, sort of in the last part of the book, of these young piglets who are elite pigs, because obviously the pigs ascend, take over control and power, and the rest of the animals are treated like dirt. And I thought, well, what happens if you take those, the pigs in the book are very off-stage characters. You hear what's going on and the corruption of power and how they're becoming more interested in trading with humans after saying that we will never ever communicate or trade with humans. So I thought, well, what if we actually make the central character a young piglet who we then follow and go on the moral journey with? And he's an innocent. He just sees himself as an animal like all the other animals, but gradually gets corrupted by this powerful, charismatic, narcissistic, funny, leader, and gets pulled away from the sort of slightly more community-orientated leader, Snowball, played by Laverne Cox, and gets sucked in by this very funny guy who eventually takes over, and a good entertainer. And so he gets corrupted, and then at a certain point he realizes what's happened, and as their utopia falls apart, and it becomes another version of the greed and cruelty that they'd faced with humans, he has to make amends. So then we've got a sort of an interesting story, and it's still, thematically it's still entirely the book, but it's just the only other thing that we changed, really, I suppose, was not ending in such a bleak place, because when kids sit down, hopefully after having watched this movie, you didn't want them to kind of go, well, oh my gosh, the world is hopeless. What can we do? Right. So we've got an ending which is an open-ended question, which is, in the book it ends with all the animals standing outside the window, looking in through it and seeing pigs and men, and looking from pig to man and man to pig, and not being able to tell the difference. And it's a very, very bleak ending. But whereas we end with a much more sort of open-ended, as I say, open-ended question, which is, history repeats itself. This has gone horribly wrong. It'll probably go wrong again, but we have to keep trying, and it's in the trying that hopefully you'll find a solution. So it's not a sort of a Hollywood ending or a wrapped up neatly in a bow ending. It's very much a kind of, okay, this is going to be down to you kids when we're gone, and it's like, you've got to start thinking about this. And
that's fantastic.
Parents, so that's the idea behind this. When we released the first trailer,
by the way, 15 years.
You.
It's really something. It's truly really something. And we're glad that as soon as you wrap up the press for this, you can start doing a new Lord of the Rings movie. Just so that you can rest. Hey, before
we know you have to run.
Yeah,
we know you have to run, Andy, but we do have a speed round of questions. Let us know if you have time for this. If you don't, we understand, but we can try to be quick. You let us know.
Maybe one.
Yeah, okay. One. All right, one. Have you been to the Grand Canyon?
No, I really want to go to the Grand Canyon.
Great. Perfect answer. Thank you so much, Andy.
Get another one in quick.
You did it.
All right, thank you so much, Andy.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. It's been lovely speaking with you. Yeah.
Bye. Great to see you again.
Family trips with the Meyers brothers.